Shauna Duggins became the first woman to ever win the Emmy for Best Stunt Coordination for her work on the Netflix series Glow, and now she's nominated again for season 2. I'm Kevin Jacobsen, writer at Gold Derby, here with Shauna herself. And first of all, Shauna, what did it mean for you to not only win that Emmy, but also just to be making history in that way?
I think anytime you're even nominated for an Emmy is an incredible honor. I mean, you're with your peers, people I respect, I grew up with, I've trained with, I've worked for, they've worked for me, so it's an extreme honor. And then to win for Glow, it's such an amazing show. We have these strong, powerful women that create it, and great writers, an amazing cast that works their tail off. So I'm really excited, and I'm really, really honored. I mean, I know what the girls put into training every year to get to the point to shoot on them. And so I think to be recognized for that is an honor, you know. What else can I say except I appreciate it, and I'm proud of our team and our girls.
Absolutely. And I talked to Allison Brie and Betty Gilpin a few months ago, and they both actually made a point to mention your contributions to the show. And Allison Brie actually said something interesting, which is that, you know, most stunt coordinators are just working with stunt people, whereas what you're doing is teaching the cast how to be stunt people and then coordinate the stunts as well. So can you talk about just some of the differences when it comes to training actresses who aren't necessarily well-versed in the art of pulling off these big physical stunts versus, you know, what you would do in a different job?
Sure. You know, with this show, most people aren't well-versed in wrestling. It's such a niche market that is a skill that I give my hats off to all the wrestlers, because they train and they are badasses and they're so good at their job. So to even expect some people, you know, a lot of them are gymnasts and pick it up quickly, but it's not a skill that a lot of some people have. It's just a different niche market. So now the actresses come in, and you have these actresses and musicians and comedians, and they're all so well stage and be a comedian like Jackie Tone, or perform on Broadway like Betty Gilpin, or on a show like Allison Brie or Kate Nash on stage, but yet I expect them, as does the whole crew, to be a wrestler and perform it magically. And they do. They're incredible. They come in, we get them for a month, but we shoot, and they train their asses off. And then through the whole season, as we get the scripts, we're constantly adjusting and training and relearning and adding to their toolbox and building, so that when it comes time to film, they're ready and they're as safe as we could humanly make them, but yet we're pushing the boundaries to see them do the action, and they're incredible at it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also interesting, like, going from season 1 to season 2, because it really mirrors what the cast went through between, you know, season 1's all about all the ladies training, learning the moves, the rudimentary stuff. And then in season 2, they get the Glow TV show, and then the moves become more advanced. And I would imagine that the stunt work becomes that much more demanding. So what was your approach for season 2 as far as making the stunt coordination just a little more advanced?
You know, with season 2, the moves, like you said, the women in the show are getting better at what they can do, and they're getting more skills as wrestlers. So now we need to also show that in the show and in their wrestling. So as we choreographed the fights, we have a great team between Chavo and Helena and I, and we choreograph and play and work together, and then work with the actresses, and Liz and Carly, our showrunners, and we kind of all collaborate and build it. But with that being said, the first month we came back into training, and I would say within the first week and a half to 2 weeks, they had everything that they had learned in season 1 already down. Their muscle memory was so amazing. They were so good at it that within the last 2 weeks of that training, we got to just learn new skills. But the great thing with season 2 is you already know all the girls. You know how each girl learns, and you know who's really strong at what. So you can play to their assets, and you can play to their skills. So, you know, Kate Nash is better at one thing, and then Betty is better at one thing, and Allie is incredible at one thing. And so you can play to make them each look their best. And the trial and error of learning that is done from season 1. So we got to just jump right into season 2 and just go after it.
Mm-hmm. And so going back to the beginning, even before season one, I was also wondering just how much you were familiar with the real Glow TV show from the 80s and whether you tried to replicate the style of the moves that you saw from that original show.
You know, I hadn't watched it as a kid growing up, so it was before me really. But once I learned about going in on the meeting, I watched it and I thought, oh my God, this would be such a fun project to be involved in. So I think what we try to do is we try to keep it very 80s genre, and Chavo Guerrero Jr. kind of keeps us honest about that. When we'll try something cool, he'll go, that wasn't around in the 80s. Or, you know what, it was, but only a few people were doing it, but I think we could stretch it on that. So we definitely try to keep it period appropriate, but we also want to push the boundaries a little bit and show what these women are capable of, because they are flippin' amazing and they pick up everything. I mean, Brittany Young is an incredible bass, and Kia, my God, Stevens is just an amazing wrestler and an amazing actress, but we get to play with all that. So we always try to push the boundaries a little bit while staying into the correct genre.
Yeah, and there's a big moment in season 2 where Ruth and Debbie, they're in the ring and Debbie ends up breaking Ruth's ankle, and it's such a visceral and violent moment that I think you really feel when you're watching it. So can you just tell us about the process of figuring out what to do in that scene in order to make it just feel so real?
Yeah, you know, with that scene with Ruth and or I should say with Betty and Allie, you know, we talked with Liz and Carly, and for me, it's always, where does the story go? Like, what are we trying to tell in this? And we kind of had two stories. You had the well-rehearsed story where each girl is more together, they're working as a team, and they're making it happen. And we tried to really be distinctive about when they're rehearsing it and what it should look like. And then when you see Liberty Bell, a little bit, you know, she's on drugs and she's a little bit at this high speed, angry place. And so now when she goes off the rails a little, we wanted it to look different. So that a lot is Betty and Allie and what they bring. I mean, we made the moves and we do the choreography, and then we find the places where we can show the differences between the two scenes. And I have to say, if you just let Allie and Betty play, my goodness, those two can make any scene even go above a 10. They're incredible, and they're incredible together. So we just kind of, we build that and then let them play, and then we all collaborate and make changes, and what we thought would work, maybe there's subtle changes because they have a better idea, or we see the character and then we can change it and enhance it. So it's kind of a work in progress. As long as we know the story and where we're trying to get, we're fluid with that.
Mm-hmm. And another great moment from season 2 was the Good Twin episode, where it was essentially like a broadcast of the Glow TV show with music videos and sketches and cheesy effects, and everything was just super over the top.
Yeah.
So what was it like to coordinate that episode where it just seemed like nothing was off limits?
You know, the Good Twin episode was a lot of fun because it was, you know, we're always trying to make sure every hit works, every move is as perfect as we can get it, that the girls are safe. And that one was a little bit freeing and just, it could be a little bit messy. I watched one and I'm like, oh, that hit didn't work. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay. It's this episode. It's that they're not perfect. That you have, you have Betty who's losing it with her sword going through the bushes looking for her daughter. You know, I mean, it's just such a funny episode that you kind of, it was freeing to just play and not try to make every move as perfect as we can. And just realized that was part of the story, and to go with it. They were embracing all those moments.
Definitely. And then season 2, it ends with a big battle royale kind of scene in the ring for the crown for Glow. And so can you talk about just coordinating that whole very elaborate sequence?
The trickiest part with the battle royale is that we are shooting the entire time that we are rehearsing that. So we didn't get the girls together very often. So it would be, we'd work with these two and this is where they were, and then these two, or we may get 6. And so everybody's working through and we know their choreo and what the story that each piece is being told. And then what's funny and where camera's going to be and what we can do to help with that. And then now you get it in there, and all of a sudden you get, an hour in between something where you get all the girls, and you look, and all of a sudden the ring is completely full. So now the timing of each person is crucial, because if so-and-so's going out fourth, then the fifth person knows, okay, I can't go out till they go out, but now they're taking too long, and now I have to milk it over here, or they're out faster, but we're not ready for that. So the girls were fantastic about being adaptable. We just said, kind of, you're in your choreo, but you can't just be locked in your choreo. You have to be watching what's going on around you, because it affects every piece, and it's just like a domino. It just keeps affecting down. So they did great. Sometimes I was like, wow, I haven't seen those couple moves before, but their toolbox was so full that they could ad lib for 3 seconds if they needed to and somebody was taking too long, or they felt very safe and comfortable in knowing where they could go in their parameters and where they couldn't go. And who couldn't step in this space because somebody's coming out over here and you don't want to get kicked, because now all of a sudden there's, I think, 13 or 14 women with feet and legs and hands and everything going every which way. So, just keeping them all safe, choreographing it, the timing, the story for each little subplot. It was a lot of fun. It was really entertaining and fun to do.
Yeah, I could sense that, definitely. And I feel like, though, that the tricky thing to be training people who don't do stunts for a living, even if you have them pretty well trained by now, I would imagine, on the protocols and all the safest ways to sort of pull off some of these stunts, is, so when you're there with one or two actresses, and for whatever reason they're just really struggling to figure out how to pull off a certain stunt, is there a certain way that you motivate them and sort of coach them through it?
Absolutely. I mean, each person learns differently. So I know for me, you can talk your way through it for 5 minutes and you just kind of start to glaze over. But if you show me once, I've got it. So that's how I learn, by visual. So certain people, everybody learns different. So now that we know kind of each girl's style and what can help them, we try to motivate them in the way they learn the best to make it the shortest hand for them, because we don't get them for very long. It's like, an hour here, 3 hours there, depending on, because they're all shooting at different times too. So honestly, I think for me what happens is the ego can get checked out and just step back. And even if we put something together and I think they can learn it, if they don't like it for some reason, or it just isn't quite clicking, instead of pushing harder and harder, you kind of have to know to go, okay, let's step back today and let's work on something else. And tomorrow we'll retry. And you either retry again or you just change it. But a lot of times they really want that move because they know they can. It's just something isn't clicking that day. And that's okay. You're also thinking about the 8 pages of dialogue you have when you leave here, or that you just did an emotional scene that's before or after. So, it's realizing that they also have a hair appointment and they have to go get tanned or whatever else goes into the character for them, and the emotion and everything. So we're a piece of that, and we're just trying to make them as excited to be there and learn as much as they can, and then they want to do the action and they want to rock it when they get in there. So I think every time they come into our ring, they're excited to be there, and they're ready to have fun, they're ready to learn, and they're open to learning.
Mm-hmm. And you've done stunt work and coordination on so many shows and films over the years. Emmy nominated back in 2006 for Alias, even part of films like Fast Five, Pirates of the Caribbean, Drive Angry, Charlie's Angels, all sorts of stuff. So when you look back, is there a project in particular that will just always have a special place in your heart?
There are a few projects that will always have a special place in my heart. The first Charlie's Angels will always have a special place because it was my first big movie. I was probably 20 years old. I stepped onto a set. I was getting to double Cameron Diaz, who is amazing. Mick G has this energy that's unmatched. He's just such a joy to be around and inspiring. And then you are doing stunts that you never even dreamt you could do. I'm with Andy Armstrong, and he's pushing me, and do you want to do this? And you're this today. You're doing a fight. You're jumping out of a helicopter. You're doing a stair fall. You're doing a ratchet. It was just constantly learning, and you're so new that you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to do it. So to me, it opened my eyes to the whole stunt world and what I was capable of doing. So that will always have an amazing spot. And then the next one would be Alias. I spent 5 years on that show, and every hiatus with Jennifer Garner, and not only is she an amazing actress. She's an amazing athlete. She's an amazing fighter. She's an amazing friend in person. So I think between the 5 years of Alias and every movie in between, it has set such a tone for my career and what I expect of myself and what I have learned from people and the friendships and the drive. And that was my first real job to coordinate, and then to get to direct second unit from that a little ways down the road. And that will always hold a special place in my heart. And then the next one I would say would be Glow. You come in and you watch these very strong, powerful women, Genji and Liz and Carly, and they build this collaborative environment that is fun. Every department loves to work there. Every department feels a part. You get to collaborate. You have all these kind of crazy people that end up making this amazing product. And you have these 15 actresses, and Mark Maron, can't miss Mark Maron, and that they're happy to be there. You have that many women, and every single one are so supportive of each other. It's beautiful. If one struggles with something, you watch the other 14 women bring her up. When one does something they never thought they could, they're all on the sidelines cheering. And in season 2, when we had the quick clips of all like their big moves, they hadn't seen each other do them before that. So you now have them in the audience, and they're watching the other ones do what they didn't even know they'd been working on, because they come in with us in different separate groups according to what availability. And you should hear them in the stands hooting and hollering for their sisters in there. And it's so empowering and beautiful. It makes me want to cry to watch these women support each other. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that I'll always be thankful to be a part of.
Yeah. So I know that there's been some discussion over the years about the idea of adding a stunt coordination award at the Oscars, and there's been a lot of debate back and forth. The Emmys obviously have 2 categories for it, one for comedy and variety and another for drama and limited series. The SAG Awards have it too. They have the Stunt Ensemble Award, which you also happen to have won. So do you have any thoughts just on whether the Film Academy should think about adding a stunt award?
I would love to see the Film Academy honor stunts with an award. You have movies obviously like Hobbs and Shaw that are all stunts and they're beautifully done and it's amazing. And then you have shows like The Revenant. The Revenant is an amazing theatrical movie that it was up for so many Academy Awards. But still, what people talk about in that movie is the bear sequence. They talk about sequences that are so impactful, but that has to do with the stunt coordination. And it shouldn't, I know you hear different reasons why they will or won't, but it takes nothing away from the director. The director tells his vision, he works with the stunt coordinator, and then the stunt coordinator helps to bring that vision to life. But without that person, you would be missing the entire levels of how to bring the action to life. And I think it's a crucial part of every story. There's some piece in there that has to do with some sort of action, and it's just keeping the people safe. It's creatively figuring out how to give the director his vision of what he wants with it.
Yeah, good arguments, definitely. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on this. You were also expected to make your directorial debut with a film called Guardian. So can you tell us just a little bit about that, and also just why you wanted to step into the director's chair for the first time?
Yeah, I'm so excited with Guardian. The script is fantastic. I get to work with Wonderland Films and Voltage Films, and Wonderland for me is like going home. Like I said, one of my first projects was with McG, and that's his company, and what an honor with he and Mary Viola and Nick Chartier. And like I said, the script is beautiful. It's very a la The Professional, and it's a great action script, but with the action, there's a lot of emotion between our assassin and a boy, and I can't wait to work on it. Brian Macklight and I are so excited to tell the story. I think I've always admired directors. They come in and from the beginning to the end, they have a vision of what they want to tell, and they work with a great team of people from the production designers and what they want the sets and the scene, and to develop the whole world, and then to do it with the actors and through wardrobe and stunts and creatively. It's just, you get to build the world and tell the story. And I think with stunts, you get to do that in a piece. You're always doing that. whether you're creating it or whether you're giving the director his vision or whatever piece. So now it's just exciting to do it on something I've already admired with other directors, and to get to start and do that.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Shauna, and best of luck for you at this year's Emmys.
Thank you so much.
And everyone else, please hit subscribe for more Emmy interviews and head to goldderby.com and make your predictions.
Thank you.